Hey, what's up, fellow tourists to Earth? I am Nick, and this is Comicopia, my weekly 35 squared minutes of low-fat fun with the latest comics. This week I'm checking out international comics, so first up is the super independent book, Underwater number 5, from the Great White North, eh? In this issue, well, it's kind of hard to tell. You see, Underwater is written in a strange, different language, and I'm not talking Latin. The people of Underwater communicate in a language only understood by themselves and Chester Brown, the creator. The concept is not to slack off on writing, but to have you, the reader, slowly understand this odd gibberish. This comic is fun if you attempt to decode it, or even try to say some of the words out loud. What shoe is he bought? Whether this is a comic masterpiece or just a big joke, it's still pretty cool, and I give it 3.5 out of 5 G's on the anti-gravity scale. Next up, I want Lori Petty, because this is Tank Girl, the craziest Australian since Crocodile Dundee. This issue, number 3, starts up with an intro that is very Tank Girl. Multiple world leaders and celebrities talking of world domination and being squashed by a giant frog. Oh, those crazy Aussies. It also features Tanky getting pregnant, and a special cameo by Princess Di. And, for all of you who believe the truth is out there, check this out. It's that weird face on Mars. This comic has great art that looks like a guy in a mental institution drew it, which is perfect because the writing reflects the same thing. Tank Girl is a truly spastic book that never lacks in entertainment. I give this in-depth look at Australian life 4 G's on the anti-gravity scale. Lastly, from the land of the rising yen, you're under arrest. Given that the art isn't anything special, you would hope that the book would have a pretty good story, and fortunately, it does. It's about 2 female Japanese police officers who, this time, are in pursuit of a mystery motorcycler. It's a real page-turner with an ending that will give you okotapai. And I don't even know what that means, so it must be good. Manga and anime are tops on my list of comics from foreign lands, so I give this book 4 out of 5 G's on the anti-gravity scale. Well, that's about it for Comicopia this week. See you next time. Happy travels.
Garth Ennis is an industry leader in the UK comic scene. He's also made a big impact in the US.
I don't tend to think a great deal about the global village in terms of what I'm producing. The ideas come from all over the place, from dreams, from things that I see happen on the street, from a chance remark someone might make, from a person you meet, you might get an instant idea for a character. I find that particularly the kind of stuff I do, which is mostly a sort of a black humor approach to writing comics, to writing fiction, is fairly universal, although not everyone loves it. Any kind of dividing line is not a national one, and a lot of the stuff that I write, I suppose, is inspired by movies and books from both sides of the Atlantic. The comic I'm spending most of my time on at the minute, Preacher, is very heavily Western influenced, and although obviously that's a peculiarly American art form, you'll find there are very few people in Britain, for instance, who didn't watch Westerns and so on growing up, and so can respond to, well, various sort of familiar archetypal images like, you know, the lone gunfighter. Arseface got his name because one of the characters in Preacher simply shouted out, "That fella's got a face like an arse." And I was just amused by the thought of one guy trying to blow his head off, but succeeding only in managing to remove his face, and then having to live with the results, and thus Arseface was born. My personal take on the whole question of violence in comics and extreme situations in comics and so on is that it's not real. It's a fictionalized representation of violence. I'm aware of the difference. I don't like real violence, and I don't go out to, I suppose, promote real violence, but I don't honestly think it's up to me to censor myself for what other people get out of my work. All I can do is do my own work, be as honest as possible in what I write, and put it out there, and then get on to the next project. As for the internet, don't like it. I'm not on it, and I'm convinced that the computers are all going to start talking to one another soon, like in Terminator, and one day all these internet users will find Arnie at the door with a shotgun. So personally, tend to stay well clear.